The following clips were recorded by the same woman over what appears to be a string of increasingly unsettling days at her home, a place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where something seems to have made itself comfortable. It starts simply enough. She's outside in her backyard on an overcast autumn day, walking through the dry leaves, filming a dead tree that caught her eye, gnarled, full of dark holes, a little out of place among the others. She says she doesn't know what the metal bracket bolted to the trunk is for. She's curious, unbothered, almost cheerful, but as she crouches near the base of that tree, among the red leaves and the fallen branches, something catches her attention. Watch.
So I have a bunch of trees in my backyard, but there's this one that doesn't look like the other trees. So I'm gonna go check that one out because it has pretty red leaves or flowers next to it, and it's interesting. I'm wearing my work boots, so in case my dog runs off, I'm not chasing after her barefoot. So here's the tree. It's dead, but it's very pretty. And there's these weird things that are in it. I don't know what that's for. And it has crazy holes that I like. But here's the pretty red things. Flowers. No, they're leaves. Those are leaves. Oh. I like you. What is that?
She reaches down and lifts a clean white animal skull from the leaves. Empty eye sockets, prominent canines, not decomposing, just sitting there like it had been placed. A clean skull lying at the base of a dead tree isn't automatically sinister, and she doesn't treat it that way, but for viewers who've seen what comes next in her footage, many believe it fits a pattern. Some think it's nothing more than a fox or raccoon that passed nearby. Others think the placement, at the root of a dead tree, in a yard where so much else would soon go wrong, is too deliberate to dismiss entirely. That changed everything. Back inside the house, around the same period, she captures something harder to rationalize. The dog, Luna, is already alert, running down the hallway toward a set of closed double doors. Watch.
Luna, come on.
The sleigh bells hanging from the doorknobs are shaking violently and ringing loud and fast, with nothing visible touching them. No draft, no person, nothing in contact with the doors. Luna runs straight toward them, which is the detail that gets me. Dogs typically flee from things that startle them, not charge toward them, which some viewers interpret as Luna trying to confront whatever's on the other side. The bells stop almost the instant the front door opens. That abrupt silence is almost more unsettling than the ringing itself. A few days later, with a friend or family member visiting, things escalate inside the kitchen. The two women are talking casually, one of them chatting to a cat sitting on the counter, when something interrupts the whole room. Listen closely.
Chilling here, being a kitty cat.
Did you do that?
A loud bang with no visible source, and then a bundle of what looks like dry spaghetti launches upward from behind a dining chair and arcs across the room, sending the woman in purple scrambling backward and nearly out of frame. The cat flinches. The camera operator asks, "Did you do that?" And the woman says simply, "No." Short answer, no explanation. Skeptics argue a person hidden behind the chair could have thrown it, but the trajectory, up and outward, from floor level, is difficult to account for without being caught on camera. Poltergeist activity, according to those who study it, often follows this pattern. Small, disruptive, physical. Objects moved or thrown, not by a ghost in the traditional sense, but by a kind of displaced energy, sometimes associated with periods of high stress or emotional tension in a household. Whatever the cause, the activity isn't slowing down. Caught on her Nest security camera at 11:23 a.m., The footage shows her lying on the couch in pink pajamas when the entire room is rattled. Watch. A sharp, loud bang from somewhere off camera, percussive, echoing, jolts her straight up, and she runs out of the room within seconds, disappearing through a background doorway. The camera shakes with the impact. There's no visible source, no falling object in frame, nothing displaced in the room itself. She doesn't come back on screen. What's compelling about this one is that it's a security camera. She didn't choose to film this moment. It was recorded automatically, which makes staging it considerably harder to argue. The same day or around it, Luna is standing on her hind legs at the window, visibly agitated, when the woman notices the bathroom faucet is running at full blast. She turns it off and walks back to the living room. Then it happens again. Watch.
On. She's flipping out.
Holy crap, Mom! What happened? Mom, really feel the purpose. I'll probably feel better.
Literally just turned back on as soon as I sat down.
I don't see the forest.
Oh my god. Luna.
No, I'm here. I guess I just live out my days as a bee. Try not to die, I suppose. Except that this is hard mode, and I don't know that.
She's barely sat down when the water turns back on by itself, audible from a different room, and she has to go shut it off a second time. Then the doorbell rings clearly, and when she checks the window and the porch, there's nobody there. Not across the street, not on the path, not near the mailbox. Luna is already at the door before she gets there. Some viewers think this cluster of events, the faucet, the bell, the dog's fixation on unseen things, points to an intelligent presence, one that's interacting with the house, rather than just haunting a specific room. Others suggest a plumbing fault for the faucet and a technical glitch for the doorbell. But the timing, back-to-back in the same clip, makes the mundane explanations feel strained. The last clip shifts the setting outdoors, at dusk, to a dirt path bordered by dark trees. Luna has already appeared in several of these clips, reacting before her owner does, and in this one, that pattern reaches its most extreme point. The woman is walking Luna on the leash through what looks like an open field at the edge of the tree line when Luna stops cold, locks her gaze on something ahead in the darkness, and refuses to move. Watch.
Luna. 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 Oh my God. What? Go home. Luna, go home. Come on. No, 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 no. Luna, come on. Stop.
After a long, still moment of staring into the dark, Luna bolts forward with enough force to pull the leash completely out of the woman's hand and runs into the field. The woman calls her back urgently. "Luna, go home. No, no." But Luna stays out in the dark, circling at a distance, occasionally stopping to look back toward the tree line, as though tracking something. What dogs detect that cameras can't is the part of this footage that sits with you, whether it's a scent, a sound outside human range, or something else entirely. Luna's behavior across all of these clips, the bells, the window, the porch, the field, follows the same shape. She knows something is there before her owner does, and whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The following video was recorded around 2:40 a.m. when a man wakes up alone in his dark bedroom and quickly notices something's wrong. The cupboard door across the room is open, and the light he always leaves on as a warning has gone out. He explains this quietly in a hushed and clearly frightened voice, saying he covers that light while he sleeps so the glare doesn't hit his eyes, but he keeps it on specifically so he knows when what he calls the haunting hour has begun. Tonight, it's off, and that alone tells him something has already started. He keeps the camera trained on the dark doorway at the far end of the room, barely moving, barely breathing. Watch.
Where's the cupboard open? The lights are off. You see, I normally keep that light on because that's how I get to know the haunting has begun or not. And that's why I've actually covered the lights so that it doesn't glare on my eyes while I'm sleeping. The cupboard is open right now. I'm alone in the room. It's at the door. Stop it! Stop it, please! Go f yourself, Jerry. Go f yourself. Shit. I'm not gonna stay here.
What starts as an uneasy silence erupts into something far more aggressive. Loud, metallic banging striking the door repeatedly, then a door handle rattling with violent force. The kind of sound that doesn't leave much room for a rational explanation. He shouts at it to stop, pleads with it, and then for just a few seconds, it does. The silence that follows is almost worse than the noise, and then a child's voice comes out of the dark, soft, clear, and completely disembodied, saying, "Daddy?" He doesn't hesitate. He screams back at it, calling it Jerry by name, which means this isn't the first time something has spoken to him like this. A loud crash follows immediately, as if whatever is in there responded to being called out. He scrambles out of bed and runs down the hallway toward the front door, not stopping once. Many believe mimicry is one of the most disturbing tools a negative presence can use, borrowing a voice that bypasses logic and hits somewhere much deeper. So what exactly is Jerry, and why does it know what to say? Now in this next clip, A woman who works in an emergency room starts noticing something she can't explain during one of her overnight shifts. A vital signs monitor in an empty room keeps powering on by itself and displaying readings that, according to every rule of how that equipment works, simply shouldn't be possible. She'd already reset the monitor, turned it off, confirmed no patients were assigned to it. Watch.
So there's nobody in this room. The leads are against the wall. And that's what it's reading.
The monitor is showing a heart rate, 56 beats per minute at first, then slowly climbing, then dropping down into the 40s before the leads off alarm triggers. She pans the camera down to show you the leads hanging loose against the wall, not attached to anything. There's nobody in this room, she says. The leads are against the wall, and that's what it's reading. Some believe hospitals hold residual energy from patients who passed there, something that imprints on the equipment itself. Others aren't so sure. What exactly was that monitor picking up? The following video was recorded by a man who had recently moved into an old house built back in 1912, a property with enough history behind it to already make him uneasy before anything strange even started happening. According to him, the previous tenant had suddenly left without much explanation, and after settling in, he began experiencing odd disturbances throughout the house that pushed him into researching the property's past. During a late-night spirit box session, one word reportedly kept coming through over and over again: fire. After digging deeper, he discovered that the basement of the house had been the site of an accidental fire sometime around 1965, a detail that suddenly made the atmosphere in the home feel a lot heavier. Then one night, while standing in a lit room looking down a dark hallway, he caught this on camera. Watch.
Okay. It's my hand.
At the far end of the hallway, a guitar begins to sway on its own, slowly at first, before the movement starts growing stronger. Skeptics pointed toward possible drafts or airflow as the most logical explanation, but what unsettled viewers was how the motion seemed to build, almost like something unseen kept interacting with it. Paranormal theories surrounding old homes often connect fires to lingering energy, especially when the event was sudden or traumatic. Some believe places marked by tragedy can hold on to fragments of that moment for decades, replaying themselves through unexplained sounds, movement, or disturbances tied to certain parts of the house. And considering the repeated mention of fire during the spirit box session, many viewers think whatever is in that hallway may be connected to what happened in the basement all those years ago. Whatever started the movement, he never found the source. In this next clip, someone is walking through a property called the Green Manor, an old house with narrow winding staircases, dark reddish walls, a library with built-in shelves, and an upstairs room lined with antique dolls. And from the moment they point the camera at a teal wooden door in the hallway, something feels off. The door is slightly ajar, and the vintage oval doorknob on its brass backplate just sits there, still and quiet, the way doorknobs are supposed to. But then it starts to move. Watch. The knob jiggles, turns clockwise, and a sharp metallic click rings out as the latch fully disengages and the door swings open on its own. Nobody's on the other side. The person filming then pushes through, climbs the creaking staircase, and when they reach the top, they pan into a side room where a full church pew is lined end to end with at least a dozen porcelain dolls just sitting there, staring. Some people who've seen this footage think the doorknob moment is consistent with what's sometimes called a residual haunting, the idea that a location can essentially record repeated actions, like opening a door, and replay them without any conscious intent behind them. Others think something at the Green Manor is far more aware than that, pointing to the way the latch fully releases, a deliberate mechanical sequence, not just a rattle. Whether it's residual energy or something with intention, you be the judge. In this next clip, a family arrives at what looks like a spacious hotel suite. A large, well-lit room with high vaulted ceilings, a stone fireplace, a loft area, and a balcony with plenty of natural light coming through. Nothing about the space looks threatening, but the moment they reach the doorway of room 24, something happens that none of them were prepared for. Watch.
Come on, Mama!
Oh, she don't like this one. Wasn't expecting that. Dang, Big Mama. Is there something in here? We rebuke it, Kai Kai. We rebuke it. She said,
There's an upstairs?
Yeah. Yeah. It's shit on the toilet.
That's where you and Dad sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not good.
There's nothing.
What?
Close it. I'll pull out bed. This is so nice.
You welcome. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all got some energy because we're finna be up all night.
She immediately starts screaming, no, crying loudly, and pulling away from the room, and she doesn't stop for the entire clip. What makes this so hard to dismiss is that the girl didn't calm down. There's a belief, fairly common in paranormal communities, that young children, especially toddlers, are far more sensitive to presence than adults because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they're feeling. You decide what that little girl was sensing at that doorway. Now in this next clip, a man is out in his shed during the day working on tools when he notices something that stops him cold. A sound coming from a dark attic space above a storage closet he says he's never once been up into. He grabs his phone and starts filming himself, panning the camera around the cluttered shed before pulling open a narrow closet door to show what's inside. Listen closely.
Me or not, I don't care, but listen to this. I'm out in the shed working on tools. Listen. Dude, I swear to God, there's something up in this attic, man. I'm not getting up in here and shit. Do you hear that? Dude, oh my God, bro. Oh my God, man. There's something in this neighborhood, dude. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know what to do in a situation like this. Do you hear this shit, man? This thing was built before I bought this house, man. I've never gone up here one time. What the fuck was that, man? There's stuff. left from the previous owner. Oh. Oh my God, dude. Oh.
If you listen closely, you'll hear a baby crying, and it happens not once but multiple times, getting clearer and closer each time. The man's reactions are hard to fake. He slams the door, shouts, opens it again, keeps asking if you can hear it too. Then, when he finally works up the nerve to climb the ladder and hold the camera up into that dark space, the last sound he catches, right before the camera drops, is a clean, unmistakable cry of a baby coming from somewhere deep in that darkness. Some viewers think he has squatters in there, which, honestly, isn't impossible. Whatever was up there, he didn't stick around long enough to find out. So what do you think was making that sound? Now in this next clip, a paranormal investigator from Lakeshore Paranormal is in the basement of an old property at night, standing beneath a single bare bulb that cuts harsh shadows across the cinder block walls and exposed ceiling joists. He's got a spirit box scanning in one hand and what appears to be a detection device in the other, the constant static of the scanner cycling through frequencies filling the silence around him. He glances around the space, listening, waiting. Watch.
Not gonna leave until you give me a sign.
Movement back there. Shadow. Shadow like came out from the where the heater is and went back the other way. I got it on video. You can see it. It was short. It was just like a shadow that came out from there.
Are you down here?
A shadow moved from right to left. What immediately sparked debate online was the way the figure seemed to move with shape and direction, not like a flicker of light or camera distortion, but like something physically crossing. Some viewers argued it could simply be a reflection caused by someone walking past a nearby window, but according to the investigators, they were completely alone on the property that night, with no one else inside or outside the building during the investigation. So if no one else was on that property that night, then what exactly walked behind him? Now in this next clip, someone is moving through a pitch-black house in the middle of the night, using nothing but a flashlight to cut through the darkness ahead of him. According to him, before he even started recording, he had already been hearing strange noises somewhere deeper inside the house, sounds unusual enough that he decided to grab his camera and trace where they were coming from. At first, he expected to find something simple, maybe a window left open, or an animal moving around inside the walls. But instead, he found this. Watch.
Right. Second date. It's been okay so far, but what? This is what I mean. Crazy shit. Is it like hello? Oh my! Oh shit! Phone's upstairs. Oh my! I'm leaving lights on. Look at this. I swear to
The lights suddenly begin flickering violently, throwing unstable flashes across the hallway, and just as he turns toward the staircase, something can be seen moving on the stairs, a dark shape shifting in the shadows before disappearing again. Some viewers believe the flickering lights could point toward electrical issues in an older property, but others focused entirely on the figure near the staircase, especially because in many old traditions, spirits or entities were said to linger near staircases because they symbolized movement between worlds, especially in darkened homes where visibility is limited and the human mind struggles to fully process shapes in shadow. So what do you think was waiting at the top of those stairs? The following video was recorded inside a home that's over 100 years old, using an old camera set up by a young man who was home alone and had noticed something he couldn't explain. Every time he left the room to vacuum, he'd come back and find the same bifold closet door standing wide open. No one else in the house, no obvious draft, nothing to account for it. So instead of just closing it again and moving on, he propped the camera on the floor, pointed it at the door, and went back to his vacuuming. The clip is silent, and that silence is part of what makes it so unsettling. Watch. The right panel of that bifold door begins to move, slowly, steadily, swinging open at a pace that feels almost deliberate, folding back until the closet is fully exposed. No one enters the frame, there's no rush of air, no person, no visible string or mechanism. If you watch the door's movement carefully, you'll notice it doesn't jerk or stutter the way a draft might cause. It moves with a kind of even, unhurried intention that's harder to dismiss. Some viewers familiar with residual haunting theory think older homes can develop patterns of repeated activity tied to whatever energy accumulated there over decades. But you be the judge. Now in this next clip, a man had been sitting alone at his kitchen table, reading from the Bible, not casually, but deliberately, the way someone does when they're trying to hold something back. He had a rosary laid out in front of him, a crucifix, and a small bottle of holy water. He says he picks up regularly from his local Catholic church. He mentions to the camera that he isn't feeling well, and before he starts reading, he anoints his forehead with the holy water and makes the sign of the cross. There's a weight to how he's going through these steps. Like a ritual he's performed enough times that it's become routine rather than ceremonial. He settles in and begins reading aloud from Psalms 37, verses 3 through 11, scripture about trust, about dwelling safely, about what faith is supposed to protect you from. But midway through the reading, something happened. Watch.
Inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked should be no more. Indeed, you will. Gosh! Holy. Bro. That just closed. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Any demon in my office, evacuate now. Look. That's my magic hat. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And my attic is closed. See? Huh. And it literally dropped my hat. That is crazy. You see, guys? This is what I gotta go through daily. Like literally, daily I gotta go through this crap. I'm so fed up with it.
The door in the background slams shut with a sharp, violent bang. What's harder to dismiss is what he finds on the other side. A baseball cap lying face down on the floor just inside the doorway, which he claims was not there before. He picks it up, shows the camera the front, and says the entity dropped it. He calls his attic door out specifically, showing it secured with multiple slide locks, as if that detail is meant to explain something he doesn't want to say out loud. He ends the clip looking straight into the camera, exhausted, and says this is what he goes through daily. For those familiar with spiritual warfare theology, a violent physical reaction during scripture reading is considered significant. It's interpreted not as random haunting activity, but as direct interference, a presence responding to being named. So what was in that room with him? The following video was recorded at around 11 p.m. when a young man is alone inside a building and begins hearing something he can't explain. Loud, violent banging echoing from somewhere in the basement below him. According to him, this isn't the first time. It's already happened 3 times that night, and by now, whatever is making the noise has clearly gotten under his skin. Watch.
Bueno, ya son como las 11 de la noche y la tercera vez que estoy escuchando este ruido de mierda. No sé qué está pasando, pero lo quiero grabar ahora para que después me crea la gente, porque esto nunca me pasó y nada, lo quería grabar. No sé yo, estoy podrido, la concha de la lora. Tengo mi linterna, no sé para qué mierda la traje. Dios, puta que te parió. La puta que te parió. Concha de la lora. La concha de la lora. Pero como mierda puede ser que no haya nada hoy. Ya es la tercera vez. Tercera vez que entro y no hay nada. Dios, me quiero ir. Me quiero ir.
What you're hearing isn't subtle. Those are powerful metallic slams reverberating through a large, empty concrete space, the kind of sound that doesn't come from a building settling or pipes expanding. He moves through the basement with support pillars and wooden furniture, pushes into a narrow locker room area with benches and jackets on hooks, and finds absolutely nothing. No one, no movement. The banging had been relentless on his way down, growing louder and more rhythmic the closer he got. And then, the moment he's inside the room where it seemed to be coming from, it stops. He checks under the benches, pans the camera across every corner, and keeps repeating the same thing. This is the third time he's come down here and found nothing. He says he wants to leave. Some viewers think the sounds point towards something intelligent, something reacting to his presence. The way the banging intensifies as he descends and cuts out the second he arrives suggests awareness, not random noise. Skeptics argue an accomplice somewhere in the building could account for it, though no one else is ever seen or heard. But if you listen to how that sound carries through the space, it's hard to picture where exactly someone would be hiding. So where did it come from? In this next clip, Nicole is a teenage vlogger who's been documenting something she once thought was a gift, her ability to communicate with spirits, until that ability put her directly in the path of something far more dangerous. She'd been uploading footage of her paranormal experiences under the online alias Banshee 0094, barely anyone in her town even knowing she was still alive, when a cult found her through those videos, took her, and left her on the side of the road to die. Now she's back, trying to move on, when the activity starts again, this time inside her own bedroom. Watch.
Did you guys hear that? Is he yawning? Shit! Right, no. I'm not doing this shit. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. Back to bed. Back to bed. Back to bed. You hear me? I'm not going outside. I am not going outside. I do not need this shit. Okay. I know. I'm outside. I'm trying to be extra quiet. He's all shh. Okay. Shh. Just, I'll be quiet because I know I shouldn't come inside. I said I was going outside, but I have to go inside because like, what the fuck was I saying?
If you look closely, something appears to pass directly across the window outside her room. At first, it could easily be mistaken for a person walking past the house, a shadow, or even something created by the movement of the camera and the darkness outside. Then comes the scream. It's high-pitched, prolonged, and disturbingly human-sounding, which is exactly why viewers immediately began comparing it to a banshee. In Irish and Scottish folklore, a banshee is traditionally described as a supernatural female spirit whose terrifying cry is believed to warn that someone is about to die. The frightening part of the legend isn't necessarily that the banshee attacks anyone. It's the idea that hearing it scream is itself a warning. A sound that supposedly arrives before tragedy. And that's what makes this clip particularly unsettling. But the footage becomes even more disturbing. Watch.
What is that? What is that?
If it really is the same person or figure, there's an obvious explanation. Someone could simply have been outside the house. But if Nicole's account is accurate, and she genuinely believed she was alone, the sequence becomes much harder to shake. So the most frightening question isn't what was that scream. It's who or what was waiting outside her window. Now in this next clip, a man is sitting in front of his computer late at night, replaying security footage from his own driveway. And what he's trying to wrap his head around isn't a shadow or a figure in the dark, but something arguably stranger. The timestamp on the footage reads 10:09 p.m. on the 28th of April of 2024, and it shows an ordinary-looking man in a dark jacket walking down the driveway near a vintage black Volkswagen Beetle, stopping, gesturing, and appearing to give directions to someone just off camera, completely unremarkable on its own. Watch.
Güey, te juro por Dios, güey. Te lo juro por Dios que un señor me preguntó que dónde era la pinera.
No digas mamadas.
Te lo juro por Dios, güey. Un señor se me acercó y me preguntó, oiga, disculpe, ¿dónde es la pinera? Y por eso le explico, le digo que tenía que cruzar y darle más para abajo, güey, te lo juro. Te lo juro, güey, no mames.
Here's where it gets hard to explain. The man reviewing this footage insists, swearing on it repeatedly, visibly shaken, that man had approached him and asked him for directions to La Pinera. He gave him directions, that's it. Except the encounter was already on his security camera, and we can't see him talking to anyone. Some viewers immediately called it a glitch in the Matrix, that unsettling feeling that reality briefly repeated itself or crossed its own timeline. What do you think? Now in this next clip, someone is alone at night, filming inside what looks like an old cabin or shed, the kind of place that already feels wrong before the camera even settles on anything. The walls are dark, weathered logs, the paint on the door is peeling and stained, and the only light comes from the phone in their hand. The room is completely still, with nothing but darkness beyond the narrow beam of light, and then the camera catches something above the doorframe. Watch.
Bro, I just missed it moving again, bro. Literally. I'm not stopping recording until I get it moving on camera, bro. Look at that, bro. You see it? You see it? That bitch is moving, gang, by itself. I'm gonna try and get it one more time, yo. Bro, look at that shit, gang. Yeah, I probably gotta get rid of this little nigga for real. I got that shit on camera though, gang. I'm not tripping.
For nearly 3 minutes, the strange creature keeps hitting the door. Paranormal viewers would likely interpret the scene very differently, especially because the activity appears to be concentrated around a doorway. In paranormal folklore, doorways are often treated as symbolic thresholds between spaces, and unexplained activity around them is sometimes interpreted as something attempting to enter or make its presence known. Whether that's what is happening here is impossible to establish from the footage alone. But watching that door repeatedly take hits while the person filming stands there, unable to see what's on the other side, creates one terrifying thought. This next clip was recorded inside a man's living room in the middle of the day. Natural light coming through the window, blue sofa in the background, everything ordinary about the setting, except for one small black object sitting on the wood floor near his coffee table. He'd apparently missed it moving before the recording started, and he was determined not to miss it again. So he held the shot. Watch.
The fuck? Dude, just heard this huge fucking crash. Is anyone down there? Hello? Hey, who's fucking down there? Seriously, if you throw anything at me this time, I'm gonna f you up. Man? You're a fucking coward! What do you fucking want? Hey, let me out! Let me out! Fucking... Let me out of here!
No foot, no string, no air vent, blowing directly underneath it. Skeptics think that's the most obvious explanation. Either the device's battery is still partially charged and activating on a timer, or someone off camera has a remote. But he insists there's no pet, no remote, nothing driving it. So what do you think it is? This next clip was recorded by a man investigating strange sounds inside what appears to be a multi-level home, alone, at night, with nothing but his phone's camera light cutting through the dark. Something had already spooked him badly enough that he was out of breath before he even opened the first door. He makes his way down a carpeted staircase, calls out into the basement below, gets no answer, and pushes deeper into the space anyway, into a furnished lower level, bare white walls, couch, armchair, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel wrong. And then something happens that stops him cold. Watch. The creaking of the old wooden steps, his labored breathing, the rough stone walls closing in around him, and then, at the worst possible moment, the trapdoor above him slams shut, hard. He panics immediately, yelling and hammering on the underside of the door, the camera lurching wildly in the dark. If you listen to the slam itself, there's no creak, no slow movement. It falls in one sudden, definitive thud, the way a door moves when something forces it rather than lets it drift. Some viewers believe this was never about a haunting at all, but a physical intruder using the space, which, honestly, makes it even more disturbing. Others think whatever is in that house wanted him down there, because whatever was in that cellar with him, it knew exactly when to close the door. In the following clip, a woman was sharing a terrifying experience of how she once heard something growl close to her ear. But what was supposed to be a simple story time recording quickly turned into something much worse. Thankfully, she was still recording when it happened. Have a look.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just came down from getting a shower and I'm cleaning my kitchen. I'm getting ready to go to bed. And I swear it sounded like something growled in my ear. I know that sounds insane, and it's not like normal, but I've never experienced that before. It was insane. My basement door's open. This was not opened when I came down. Oh, crap. Hello?
Now, a growling noise isn't taken lightly. Many believe it's a sign of a hostile spirit, or even a demonic presence marking its territory, warning the living to stay away. Others speculate it could mean a spirit is trying to build fear before making its presence stronger. But whatever it was, it seemed to be waiting for the right moment to make itself known, so when she was most vulnerable, it struck again. A few days later, while she was home alone, she caught this on camera.
So I was upstairs and I heard this loud screeching noise and a loud noise. What the? I heard a loud screeching noise and a loud bang.
This time, it wasn't just the chair that moved. There were also distinct knocking sounds at the end. Now here's where the story takes a terrifying turn. After this recording, she began waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every night, the so-called witching hour, with the same sensation that someone was standing at the edge of her bed, watching her. And other times, she claimed to hear the growl again, but this time, it was right outside her bedroom door. Whatever is in her house seems to be growing stronger, bolder, and more dangerous. For more hunting videos, subscribe to the channel now. The following videos were captured by a woman who's been documenting what she calls her poltergeist diaries, a series of increasingly unsettling encounters happening at her workplace, an office she now refers to as anything but ordinary. She'd been sharing updates with her followers, building a record of small, creeping strangeness. And in this first clip, she's filming late, alone, moving through the building with her phone out when she notices something down the hallway near the break room. Watch.
So, y'all have been following my polter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy? Or is that somebody standing there? I don't... Do y'all see that?
The camera peers around the edge of a dark, reflective surface and catches a tall, thin shape standing completely still at the far end of the dimly lit hallway, and her reaction says everything. Her voice drops from calm narration to a terrified whisper before she lets out a raw, piercing scream and the footage cuts off. Whether that shape was a chair, a pedestal, or something else entirely, her scream wasn't performed. Some viewers insisted it was just office furniture catching the light wrong, while others pointed out that the object doesn't have the softened edges or visible legs you'd expect from a chair. It just stands there, occupying the frame like it belongs. That's what makes it hard to dismiss. Not long after that clip circulated, followers began asking whether the lights in that hallway were connected to anything, wondering if she'd somehow triggered them herself. She came back with a direct answer: watch.
So, since y'all thought I was doing the lights, let me show you these. This one does nothing. This one turns on this extra light. So,
she flips both switches on the wall, one by one, demonstrating clearly that neither controls the bright stationary light glowing in the dark hallway behind her. The fluorescent ceiling lights respond to the second switch, but that orb-like light sits untouched, unchanging, against the dark blue wall. Some viewers immediately suggested it was a security light or an exit sign on a separate circuit. Others weren't convinced, pointing out that the light's intensity and position don't match anything typically mounted in an office corridor, and that she didn't seem to know what it was either, ending the clip with a flat, exhausted "so," as if the demonstration raised more questions than it answered. She'd also mentioned she'd stopped working alone in that building after everything that happened, which brings us to her next update. She returned to the office with a co-worker, hoping the company would make whatever was happening stop. Everything had been quiet. Watch.
hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so... And here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
Right in the middle of her calm update, mid-sentence in fact, an explosively loud bang erupts from the hallway, violent and metallic, and both women react instantly. She moves toward the doorway and peers down the long, empty, brightly lit corridor. Nothing, no one, no visible source for a sound that loud. Two people heard the same thing, and neither of them could explain it. Some researchers who study poltergeist activity describe this kind of escalation, from visual anomalies to unexplained sounds, as a pattern of intensifying engagement, as though whatever presence exists in a space begins responding more forcefully when it feels observed. What would you do if the hallway you just cleared came back that loud? Now, in this next clip, a man is moving through his house at night, phone in hand, when the space around him starts doing things that have no easy explanation. It's unclear exactly what brought him to this part of the house, but from the moment he pushes shut a large panel on the wall, something shifts in the energy of the place, and it doesn't stop there. Almost immediately after that panel slams shut with a loud bang, something catches his attention. Watch. A soccer ball rolls across the floor completely on its own, he barely has time to process that before panning down a long, dark hallway where a small, pale figure in a white gown steps out from the corner. The moment he sees it, he hears a high-pitched, distorted child's laugh that sounds just slightly off from anything natural. Many investigators warn that childlike apparitions aren't always what they seem. Some believe darker entities imitate children because people instinctively lower their guard around them, making the encounter feel less threatening, at least at first. Despite every instinct telling him to leave, he walks toward the figure, which, if you ask most people, is the last thing you should do. When he reaches the first door and tries the handle, it's locked, and the moment he pulls his hand back, a deep, grating, scraping sound erupts from somewhere unseen, and the video cuts off. Across countless paranormal reports, investigators describe this as escalation, subtle movement giving way to visual manifestations, then direct interaction intended to provoke fear or curiosity. Whether that's what happened here is impossible to prove, but one thing is hard to ignore. Whatever was waiting at the end of that hallway never actually came toward him. It got him to come to it. Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. The following video is about a man who lives on 300 acres of swampland in a place called Dinsmore, land his family bought cheap from a paper mill that operated in the 1800s. Land that he claims was originally stolen from Native Americans and sits directly on top of an old burial ground. According to him, he's not the only one who believes something is wrong out there. He says local police officers will draw straws to avoid responding to calls on the property, and when they do show up, they won't set foot past the property line. That detail alone is hard to shake, but it's what happened to him the previous night that sent him outside in the dark, bare-chested and terrified, phone in hand. He says he walked off the porch to check on the chickens when he heard two things. First, someone calling his name, and then a voice saying, "Help me," from somewhere in the darkness. Watch.
Y'all, I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, "Help me." Hold on.
What you hear coming out of that blackness is a clear, disembodied male voice, distinct, intelligible, calling out, "Hey," then "Help," then "I need help," then the name Derek, and finally, "Can you help me?" There's no figure visible, no source, just open darkness and that pleading voice drifting in from the trees. Some viewers immediately thought of a classic piece of folklore, sometimes called the Dark Call. The idea that certain malevolent entities will lure people away from safety by mimicking distress, using familiar names or cries for help to draw someone deeper into the woods. Others think it's entirely possible a real person was out there, maybe someone from the abandoned trailer, a quarter-mile onto the land that he mentions people frequently break into. Skeptics have both explanations to choose from, but the fact that the voice knew his name is the part that's difficult to talk around. The following morning, he sat down and laid out the full context. Watch.
So last night was insane. I told you, look, I live on 300 acres of swampland. Just a little background for everybody. 300 acres of swampland. We bought it for a penny an acre from the paper mill that was here back in the 1800s. The paper mill stole it from the Native Americans. everything that everything is built around out here is on top of Indian burial ground. So I'm not the only one to have had this experience. Other people have had these experiences. You could just talk to the local people here in Dinsmore. They've had the same experiences out here. In fact, it's so bad, police officers will draw straws or argue about who has to come down here when something happens. My family used to be crazy. Used a lot of drinking, drug use, and, you know, just abuse and stuff like that. So cops would be out here all the time, but they would not come on the property. They will only meet you at the end of the property. That's how fucking scary it is out here. So today we're going to investigate. I still think that crackheads wandered up from the property. It is about a quarter of a mile into the property, but that doesn't mean anything. We get crackheads, heroin addicts, whatever. They're the new crackheads, meth addicts, they're the new crackheads. We get them out here all the time trying to steal stuff because we used to run a business out here. So I'm going to investigate a trailer that's on the edge of the property today to see that they steal out of all the time. They stole the copper out of it. They busted the windows out of it. So we're going to go see inside that trailer if there's any evidence of anybody staying in it or anything like that. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Peace.
He describes the property as deeply haunted, says the paranormal activity is so severe that even seasoned local officers refuse to enter, and admits that his own first theory is that it might have been trespassers, possibly people staying in that abandoned trailer on the land. So that same day, he decided to go take a look.
Okay, so we are out here exactly where everybody said this thing was standing. This is the spot right here. Directly this spot. There's the track. I see no footprints. So this is the exact spot right here, guys. The chickens in the background. So I don't know. This is in this area right here is where it was standing. Is where everybody said it was standing. I couldn't see it while standing just about over there. There we go. And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Did you fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling. Okay, we're just gonna peek in. Oh my, what the fuck? There's walking around in this bro. Hello? Guess we're gonna have to climb in this. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello? Heard that shit. Hold up, man. It's happening all around me right now. Like it's the worst that it's ever been.
The research context around Dinsmore notes that the area has a long history of paranormal folklore and unexplained phenomena, and the most famous incident dates back to 1897, suggesting that whatever people believe is out there has been talked about for well over a century. Whether the voice in the dark was a person, something mimicking one, or something else entirely that this land has carried since long before his family ever bought it, no one knows. But what do you think? This next video was recorded on January 4th of 2026 by a hospital security guard working a night shift on the second floor of a medical facility, a floor that houses the ICU and a family waiting area. He'd been called up earlier for an emergency, and once that was handled, he decided to walk back down the hall toward the hospital chapel, a room he'd heard about from co-workers who swore strange things happened there regularly, though he'd personally never witnessed anything himself, and that was about to change. Watch.
So we are on the second floor now. Gotta be a little quiet up here because so the ICU is actually right in front of me is family waiting. Hey, what's up, Richard? Hey. How you doing? And right to the right is he's went back in the room. What up? I was gonna say that right next to family waiting is the chapel. I was gonna come in here anyway because people say that crazy things happen here all the time, but I'd never experienced anything, so I figured why not try? And of course, nothing's happening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit right here and just wait. Holy hell, that scared the hell out of me. Oh, my heart is racing. Is that my shadow? Do y'all see a shadow on the wall? Or is that just me? Oh, I gotta get the hell up out of here. Shit done, like I'm sweating now.
After sharing the footage, the guard revealed another detail that immediately caught people's attention. Long before it became part of the ICU, that entire floor had reportedly served as the hospital's psychiatric ward. According to staff members, one story has circulated for years. Several employees have claimed that a young child occasionally appears in the corridor, approaching people with a simple question. "Will you play with me?" They also describe the child carrying, or asking for, a small red ball. The image of a ghostly child with a red ball has become one of the most enduring motifs in modern paranormal reports. Investigators often note that toys, especially brightly colored balls, are frequently associated with alleged child hauntings because they're commonly used during investigations as so-called trigger objects, items believed by some to encourage interaction. Whether that's because of expectation, coincidence, or something genuinely unexplained remains a matter of debate. BC others believe the legend may have grown over time, passed from one generation of hospital staff to the next, until every unexplained sound or glimpse in the hallway became linked to the same story. Still, hospitals have long been places where folklore thrives. Decades of intense emotion, grief, hope, and loss naturally give rise to stories that linger long after the people involved are gone. Whether the guard captured evidence of the child his co-workers had described, or simply experienced an eerie coincidence in an old hospital, one question remains. If you heard a child's voice asking you to play in an empty hospital corridor after midnight, would you answer? The following video was recorded late one night, when a man was walking through his home with his phone out, already frustrated by something that had apparently become a recurring problem. From the way he talks about it, and especially his complaint that his water bill has climbed to around $600 a month, this clearly wasn't the first time he'd found the water running by itself. He moves through the living room, down the hallway, and into the bedroom before pushing open the bathroom door. Watch.
water bill's $600 a month. Woo, woo, woo. Get him. Oh, I'm standing right here. I don't know what you want me to do, Bob. See, nothing in here, man. Nothing. Time to move. It's time to fucking move.
Just as he steps back through the bathroom door, the sink faucet erupts on its own. Full pressure, no warning, and he stumbles back with a string of startled sounds before rushing over to wrench it off by hand. What makes this harder to dismiss is the pattern. A shower running in an empty bathroom, then a faucet turning on the moment he turns his back. Some believe repeated, unprompted water activity like this points to a presence trying to be noticed, not threatening, but persistent. Others aren't so sure. By the end, he's no longer trying to figure out where the water is coming from. He's standing in his bedroom, still filming, and sounds completely fed up. Time to move, and considering what he says he's been paying in water bills, you can understand why. But if there really is something inside that house responsible for all of it, why does it keep choosing the water? In this next clip, a man sets up a night vision camera alone in an old barn at 12:30 a.m. Not because anything specific had happened yet, but because something about the place had been unsettling him. He tells the camera he can't see his hand in front of his face, that he's a little freaked out, and that he's going to leave it recording for about an hour. Then he closes the heavy door behind him and goes home. The barn sits completely still in the green-tinted night vision frame. Nothing moving, nothing out of place, just a cluttered corner full of old chairs, boxes, and junk. I watch.
Okay, if there's any ghosts, go away. I'm coming to get you. No, you're still here. Nobody stole you.
Around 1 a.m., a white wicker rocking chair near the center of the frame begins to rock on its own, slowly at first, then faster, then with enough force that it's thrown violently forward and crashes onto its side on the floor. No one is in the barn, nothing else moves. When he comes back that same night, he finds the camera untouched and takes it home. But the next morning is where things get harder to explain. Watch.
Please, okay, make more noise, please. There's a big animal in here, you get it first. Ah, crap. There's the rocket. Wasn't that tipped over?
Yeah. Where did you have it? Or
Back in
did
that
you have
corner.
it that way?
The chair was tipped over.
Yeah,
And now it's back up.
Right.
Go pull it once. Careful.
Where?
Pull it forward like it went. Is it heavy?
Kinda, yeah.
That's how it went down. A little bit more though, but I'll push it back up to see.
Push it back up.
Well,
It was like set
Well,
on the bar. Can't grab it.
all right, just leave it. Just leave it. All right. Well,
He returns with a woman, and the first thing they both notice is that the rocking chair, the one they watched get thrown to the floor, is sitting completely upright in its original position. She even tries pushing it herself to replicate how it fell, and it doesn't tip easily. That second detail is what really changes the conversation. If the chair had simply rocked and fallen because of an unstable floor, you might expect it to remain where it landed. Instead, something appears to have happened between the moment the camera stopped recording and the moment they returned. Paranormal believers would likely describe this as intelligent interaction, not just an object moving, but an object apparently being disturbed and then returned to its original position. Skeptics, however, would point out that the footage doesn't show what happened after the man left, meaning someone could have entered the barn, moved the chair, or interacted with the camera without being recorded. But if the barn really remained locked and untouched overnight, then there's one question that becomes difficult to ignore. Whatever knocked that chair over, why did it put it back? In this next clip, a father is filming what he calls their morning routine. His daughter settled into a pink saucer chair, NES controller in hand, working through a round of Dr. Mario on a vintage CRT television. It's a genuinely warm little moment, but if you pull your eyes away from the girl for a second, you'll notice what's sitting directly behind the TV, a collection of large porcelain dolls, their painted faces frozen mid-stare, wide-eyed and completely still, positioned like they're watching everything in the room. Watch.
A little morning routine now. At least she's into the classics. Little Dr. Mario. Blah. Yeah, I see you, baby. By the way, those Pop-Tarts are gross, y'all. The Eggo Pop-Tarts, so nasty. But yeah, just wanted to show y'all. Starting out early reminds me of when I was little.
If you look closely, a cup shifts inside the cabinet without anyone standing anywhere near it. There's no visible hand reaching toward the cabinet, no person walking past it, and none of the other objects appear to react. Skeptics could point to vibration, an uneven shelf, or a cup that wasn't properly balanced against the others. But paranormal viewers noticed something else about the setting. The cup moves in a room filled with porcelain dolls, objects that have long been surrounded by folklore about spirit attachment. The belief that spirits can attach themselves to dolls is deeply rooted in paranormal culture, largely because human-like objects can appear almost lifelike while remaining completely motionless. There is, of course, no evidence that dolls attract spirits or cause objects to move. Still, when you watch that cup shift while the little girl sits completely unaware in front of the television, surrounded by those silent porcelain faces, the timing is difficult not to notice. The girl keeps playing, the dolls keep staring, and somewhere behind the TV, something just moved. In this next clip, a man visits a cemetery on a bright, sunny afternoon. Not out of fear or curiosity, but out of love. He's come to put flowers on his grandmother's grave, walking along a corridor of burial niches, talking softly about how every visit here brings him peace, how this is the place where he comes to feel close to her. It's a quiet, ordinary moment, then something interrupts it. Watch.
Pues aquí le vengo a poner flores a mi abuelita y este es el lugar donde ella está, donde yo vengo y me desahogo con ella. Y la verdad que cada vez que vengo me siento súper bien, ¿sabes? ¿Qué? No, esto es imposible lo que acabo de escuchar yo. No puede ser. ¿Qué cojones?
Just after he describes feeling at ease, a single hollow knock rings out from the empty concrete niches beside him. He stops, confused, asking what that was. Then it happens again. 3 sharp, hard raps, louder this time, coming directly from the wall. He runs. You can hear his footsteps, his breathing, his voice breaking as he sprints away. What makes this so hard to dismiss is the location itself. These aren't occupied niches. They're empty, sealed concrete squares with nothing inside them. Some believe knocking from within burial walls is a form of communication from the dead, a way of making presence known to someone they recognize. Others think the sounds are structural, but 3 deliberate knocks from an empty tomb, right as someone is speaking to a loved one, you decide. The following video was recorded inside a hospital at 3 a.m. by a man working the night shift. Someone in blue medical scrubs, stethoscope around his neck, carrying a red biohazard specimen bag, while transporting lab samples across the building alone. He'd been narrating casually as he walked, almost talking himself through it, describing how much he dislikes this particular corridor at this hour, the way the patients are all asleep, the way the polished floors reflect the fluorescent lights in long, repeating streaks, and how the silence down here feels different from the silence everywhere else. Just a quiet, empty hallway stretching ahead of him, lined with parked wheelchairs on one side. Nothing out of place. Watch.
Okay, right now I'm taking labs just across the hospital. We have this really creepy, like, hallway. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, it's 3 a.m. Just walking down this hallway. I mean, it's clean and stuff. It's just odd, I guess. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. This time of night's always weird at night shift. Like patients tend to be asleep. It's like it's pretty quiet, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like how quiet it is down here. But yeah, this always takes so much time. It's really annoying. Big part of my shift. Oh, okay. Oh, nope. Okay. Don't know what's happening. Do you guys hear this? What the fuck? What? I think I should stop it. Okay, got it. Weird. I do not remember that being there. Yeah, look, there was no one. It just moved on its own, I guess. Yeah, going a different direction for sure. I do not like this. Yup. Nope.
First, every overhead light in the corridor suddenly flickers and dies, dropping him into near total darkness, with only a faint glow visible at the far end. Then, as the lights stutter back on, a metallic scraping sound starts somewhere around the bend, and a grey 2-tiered utility cart rolls out from around the corner on its own, picking up speed as it comes directly toward him, veering into the wall with a loud bang before continuing down the center of the hall. He catches it with his free hand and stands there, genuinely rattled, saying he doesn't remember that cart being there at all. You can hear how quickly his voice shifts, from weary to shaken. Some believe malfunctioning fluorescent lights in older hospital wings can act as triggers for paranormal activity, disrupting whatever energy already exists in high-traffic spaces where death and trauma are routine. Others think the cart and the lights are connected, not coincidence but sequence. What do you think caused that? 'Cause 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 The following video was recorded by a man who's been documenting what he calls a search expedition at the base of Mount Shasta in Northern California. And by day 5 of that search, he says he found something he wasn't prepared for. According to him, while exploring a tunnel system near the mountain, he noticed a small secondary exit beside a larger cave opening, and before leaving for the night, he placed a trail cam there to run overnight. Mount Shasta has carried an unusually dense weight of legend for decades. Native American tribes have long regarded it as sacred ground, and for generations, the mountain has drawn stories of hidden civilizations, unexplained lights, and encounters that don't fit any conventional explanation. So when this man set up his camera and walked away, he was already operating in a place where strange things have a long history of being reported. He came back the next morning, checked the footage, and this is what it had caught. Watch. At around 1 in the morning, something moves through the brush behind the vegetation, pale, thin, moving on all fours, with long limbs held low to the ground, crossing from right to left in a slow and deliberate crawl. Then it got worse. Seconds later, something rushes the camera directly, and the feed collapses into static. A lot of viewers watching this footage immediately reached for the word crawler, a term that's become common on paranormal forums over the last decade to describe pale, thin, humanoid figures reported moving on all fours, usually in isolated outdoor settings. Others went further and said this looked like something older and harder to name. The audio distortion that builds before the figure even appears is the detail that unsettles people most. That deep, pulsating electronic sound, starting nearly 40 seconds before anything is visible, as if something was already aware the camera was there. By day 7 of the search, he was back at Mount Shasta, this time with what he described as high-end trail cams that transmitted footage directly to the cloud. And according to him, the feeds had been quiet until one of them caught something near the area where an old shipping container had been placed in the field. He mentions health issues and says he's planning to wrap up the search soon, which makes what the camera captures next feel like a goodbye he didn't intend to film. Listen closely.
Hey there. So I am still exploring the volcanic tubes at the base of Mount Shasta. I'm only going to be here a few more days. I'm having some health issues. I'm not quite sure if it's something in the cave that's causing this or if it's just generally not feeling well, but I'm going to wrap it up in a couple days. But I wanted to post this a few weeks back. I had mentioned the fact that before heading up to Northern California, I was going to be putting in some really high-end trail cams. If there was any activity, it would send the signal up to the cloud and I could access it. I had placed these trail cams in and around the area where the shipping container used to be, just in case there was some activity, I could keep an eye on it. I've been checking in on a daily basis and it was pretty quiet, not much going on until this came through, looks like a couple nights ago, and I was downloaded it last night. Not quite sure what this is, but there's clearly some new activity going on where the shipping container used to be.
The same pale, bald, humanoid figure with hollowed-out eyes walks slowly out of the dark toward the camera, closer then closer still before lunging at it with a guttural roar, the screen flashing white on impact and dissolving into chaotic close-ups of something pressing against the lens. Skeptics looking at both clips have pointed to the cinematic sound design and the consistency of the creature's appearance across 2 separate days as signs this is a produced series, rather than raw documentation. And honestly, I've watched these back-to-back a few times, and there's a polish to them that's hard to ignore. But for those who've spent time following accounts of unexplained encounters around Mount Shasta, the combination of the location, the underground tunnels, and a figure that doesn't move like anything familiar makes the question harder to shake. Whatever it is, whatever keeps approaching these cameras, it doesn't seem afraid of being seen. So what do you think that was? The following video was recorded on a police officer's body camera during a daytime encounter on a residential street in Key West, and what makes it so unsettling isn't what you see, but what you hear. A man wearing a grey shirt and sunglasses has flagged down the officer to document a series of voicemails left by his ex-wife the night before. He's holding his phone and a folded piece of paper, visibly shaken, telling the officer the recordings are, in his own words, "farting scary." The situation leading up to this moment had been escalating for weeks. A victim impact statement arriving in the mail, a flurry of harassing calls, false neglect charges filed against him and his new partner, all of it dismissed by the same officer standing in front of him now. She'd already issued a formal notice to appear against the ex-wife. She recommends a no-contact order, and then he presses play. Watch.
All right, do me a favor and play them. Just because I have what you sent me, and I'll submit those already, but just to put them on camera, yeah.
No, you help, please.
You heard wanted myself and help,
Yeah.
right?
So 144 was when she started leaving voicemails.
This will, I believe, have been, yes, that's the first voicemail. These previous 2 did not.
Okay. Okay, play the other one.
Okay, we're up to second one here.
Oh, are spoken to Mama? Please, for Mom. You help me.
That was 145. This is 146.
He will say your money. You're free. Free. Get you fucking the fucking nuggets. Come on. You can never you you make it really harder, but you kill the family. You kill
147.
I wanted the answers. I wanted you marry him back, and you want everybody in jail for your love. You fuck alive. You know that. You're alive. You're alive. You're alive.
You were with her for many years. You're positive that is her voice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 47. 149.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
I hope she gets some help from this. I hope that this leads to a good...
What comes out of that phone doesn't sound like a person in the way you'd expect. The voice shifts between sobbing, high-pitched wailing, guttural growling, and something that barely registers as human speech at all, pleading for help one moment, threatening to hunt him for his entire life the next, and at one point declaring the devil is coming, with an urgency that's hard to just write off as distress.
Resolution, because it's my kids. You know, this is their mom. It's f***ing scary. It's 150.
152. This is 154.
The officer asks him directly, after all those years together, is he certain that's her voice? He says yes, and that might be the most disturbing part of all of this. Some listeners have pointed out that the extreme vocal distortion could suggest a voice changer app, a deliberate attempt to terrorize and manipulate. Others aren't so sure, arguing that the raw, layered nature of the sounds doesn't match any commonly available audio tool. Key West, a place whose Spanish name literally translates to Island of Bones, has a long history of people describing things that resist easy explanation. And for some who've heard these recordings, the line between a mental health crisis, a hoax, and something genuinely outside the ordinary feels uncomfortably thin. What do you think was actually making those sounds? The following video was recorded by a mother on a baby monitor. Nighttime footage, infrared, the kind of clip that looks ordinary at first glance, until you listen carefully to what the baby is saying. Her 15-month-old daughter was alone in her crib, rolling around and playing in the early morning hours, completely at ease, giggling softly to herself the way toddlers do when no one else is in the room. What makes this footage deeply significant is something the mother shared alongside it. Her 3-year-old daughter passed away in 2017, several years before this baby was even born. The 15-month-old has never been formally introduced to her late sister, never shown pictures, never heard her name spoken directly to her. Watch. At around 50 seconds into the footage, the baby makes a soft 2-syllable sound that could be interpreted as babbling, but at the 2-minute mark, she makes it again, and this time, it's unmistakably clear, a name, spoken with the kind of easy familiarity you'd use for someone you already know. The name is Jada. Many people who encounter footage like this interpret it as a visitation. The belief held across a number of spiritual traditions, that the boundary between the living and the dead is thinnest for very young children who haven't yet been conditioned to dismiss what they sense. Some call them angel babies, a loose informal term used to describe infants thought to carry an awareness of spiritual presences that older people have long since lost. Skeptics would argue the sounds are nothing more than coincidental babbling, a common pattern in toddler speech where two-syllable sounds naturally emerge, but the emotional weight of that second vocalization, quieter, more deliberate, almost conversational, is hard to simply set aside. In clip 2, the mother responds to a comment asking whether she'd ever spoken to her younger daughter about Jada. Watch.
Hello. Okay, so this is a question that I have gotten several times. So obviously we talk about her often, just like my family, my son. So he was 5. He was 5 whenever she passed away. So he remembers her, he knows about her, we talk about her a lot. And so does my family, but I've never talked to her directly about her. She's only 15 months, so obviously I do plan to tell her about her, eventually show her pictures, videos, and all that. With her being only 15 months old, it's not something that I've even thought about doing yet. So she's probably heard us mention her name, but I don't even know that she would know what we were talking about or who she is or anything like that. So that is what makes it kind of even crazier is no, I've never talked to her about her or anything like that. And actually, after I posted this, the next day, I did show her a picture of Jada, and she smiled so big. I was like, Jada! So it's just so crazy. I honestly think I'm still just in shock. It obviously makes me very emotional, but yeah, it's just crazy, and I just have to believe that that is what it is.
She says no, not once, not deliberately. Her younger daughter had likely heard the name spoken around the house, but at 15 months, there was no reason to believe she'd attach meaning to it. What broke the mother was what happened the day after she posted the monitor footage. She showed her daughter a photograph of Jada for the very first time, and the baby smiled wide and said the name clearly. That detail is what shifts this from ambiguous audio to something harder to dismiss, because recognition implies familiarity, and familiarity implies a connection that no one in the house had consciously created. Some believe moments like this are evidence of a bond that doesn't end at death, that spirits of children remain close to their families, particularly to younger siblings who arrive after them. Others think the mind, even at 15 months, picks up far more than we give it credit for. But the mother herself said it plainly. She has to believe that's who it is. So what do you think? A coincidence or something more? Whether you find it comforting or unsettling probably says something about what you already believe. But either way, the footage leaves that question sitting with you. This next clip was recorded by what appears to be a baby monitor, capturing a young girl's bedroom just after midnight on May 20th, 2026. It's the kind of camera parents install for peace of mind, only to sometimes capture something they never expected to hear. The little girl is lying near the headboard, her eyes reflecting the infrared light as she moves slightly in her sleep. Everything seems normal until something unusual happens. Watch. There's one detail that makes the footage especially emotional. The mother says they live in her grandmother's house, and her grandmother passed away just over a year ago. Some paranormal believers would interpret the footage exactly that way, not as something threatening the child, but as a deceased family member trying to make her presence known. The idea of a spirit interacting with a bed or disturbing a sleeping child is common in paranormal stories, particularly when the activity appears focused on one person. And if the movement really is coming from something unseen, there's something strangely deliberate about it. So what do you think? Was someone unseen actually sitting beside that bed, trying to get her attention? Now in this next clip, a Ring security camera inside what looks like a quiet home catches something that at first seems like nothing, until you stay with it a little longer. It's nighttime, and a woman in a robe moves around a lit kitchen while a dog sleeps on the large couch in the foreground. A man walks in briefly, they exchange a few words, and then he's gone. Everything feels completely ordinary, but after a few seconds, something shifts. Watch. One of the first things viewers noticed was the large oculus mirror in the room. Some paranormal beliefs associate mirrors, particularly large mirrors positioned inside living spaces, with spiritual activity, with the idea that they can somehow act as a doorway or point of entry for unwanted presences. Then there's the moment involving the dog. A strange orb-like light appears to move toward the area where the dog is lying, and almost immediately, the dog reacts, appearing to startle or shift as though something has disturbed it, and that's where the footage gets interesting. A moment later, a faint sound comes through the recording, a soft, high-pitched noise that almost resembles a woman humming a single sustained note. There's no visible person making the sound, and the timing is close enough to the dog's reaction that some viewers believe the two events are connected. But I'll leave you to be the judge of this one. Now in this next clip, someone is filming their bedroom late at night. A dark room lit only by a dim, reddish-brown ambient glow, quiet enough that nothing seems out of place at first. The camera pans slowly toward the corner of the room, where a desk lamp sits completely switched off on a wooden dresser. Then it pans right toward the mirrored door beside it. Watch. The lamp in the reflection is on, glowing a bright, steady orange, while the actual lamp behind the camera remains dark. No switch was flipped. No one else is in the room. The camera confirms it twice, panning back and forth between the real lamp and its reflection, and both times the result is the same. Some think this is a glitch in physical reality, a moment where a parallel version of the room bleeds through. Others believe mirrors act as windows rather than surfaces, and that whatever is on the other side doesn't always match what you're looking at. This next clip was recorded at dusk on a rural property, somewhere deep in a wooded area with a gravel driveway, a black portable garage, and a few ATVs parked near the tree line. The woman filming had barely gotten her phone up when something from the direction of the woods stopped her cold. Watch.
Oh my God, nobody is gonna ever believe this. All right, we're going back inside.
At first, it's difficult to make out exactly what she's looking at, but there appears to be a strange, unnaturally thin figure partially concealed beside the shed, watching from the edge of the property. It doesn't seem to approach her, it simply remains there, just far enough into the darkness to make its shape difficult to identify. Some viewers immediately called it a skinwalker, while others weren't interested in trying to identify it at all. Their reaction was much simpler: leave the property. But this wasn't the only time she claimed to see the figure. On another night, the property's motion light suddenly activated. She went outside to find out what had triggered it, expecting to see an animal or perhaps someone passing near the shed. Instead, she captured this. Watch. The same unnaturally tall, slender-looking figure appears to be standing near the structure again, partially hidden in the darkness, and that's what makes the second sighting more unsettling than the first. If it were just one strange shape caught briefly on camera, you could argue that it was a person, an animal, a shadow, or simply something in the environment being distorted by the camera. But seeing what appears to be the same silhouette, returning to the same area on another night, is exactly what made viewers start connecting the two clips. Some called it a skinwalker, others compared its unusually elongated appearance to Slender Man, the fictional internet horror figure known for his unnaturally tall, thin appearance. Of course, neither label proves what was actually standing there, but if the woman genuinely encountered the same figure twice, there's one detail that would bother me most. It wasn't simply passing through the property, it appeared to be watching it. The following video was recorded by a woman named Carrie Ann, who was out on a horseback ride near Mount Shasta in Northern California with her friend Jordan, when the two of them stumbled onto something neither of them could immediately explain. It was dusk, the kind of low blue evening light that makes everything feel slightly off, and at some point during the ride they began hearing it. A loud, layered, almost ethereal sound rising up from the ground around them, like a chorus of electronic voices humming all at once. Carrie Ann pulled out her phone and started recording.
Jordan and I went on a ride, and we just came across this noise that we heard. We're going up this hill, and you can hear it in the background. I'm gonna show you. It's a little freaking creepy. Hold on. It's creepy. There's a mountain. And look there is another 100 of them out there, but it's like this Lemurian beacon system. I have no idea. Somebody put a lot of effort into this. Come on. This is insane. I guess they're solar powered. This one actually makes sense. The other ones are just white noise. All right, well, we're getting out of here. Stat. Jordan left me.
Mount Shasta has carried that legend for over a century, the belief that a hidden underground city called Telos exists beneath the mountain, the last refuge of the ancient Lemurians, a civilization said to have survived the sinking of their continent thousands of years ago. Whether the strange sounds are connected to this history or not, this is the exact folklore this place is famous for. The next day, the two of them went back in full daylight to get a better look. Watch.
Where is that coming from? It's like it's way over there, but it's also right here. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god. This is straight apocalyptic. Somebody is summoning something here. What is happening? What is happening right now? Okay, no. Pretty sure Jordan and I just stumbled across a live Lemurian conference call. Sorry for interrupting. Not just for you. I am sitting here freaking out because I thought this bag of trash was talking to me, and everything you were saying was coming over the Bluetooth speaker in my bag. Oh my god. I'm like, the trash bag is talking to me now.
Oh, my phone is still connected.
Your phone is connected. I had to piss my pants going, we gotta go, because the trash is talking to us. Oh boy. In other words, actually, let's go. Okay. I'm over it. We just found another one. Way up the mountain. Something about salvation.
Now it's sunny, clear skies, and the hillside reveals something even stranger in the light. Not just a random scatter of devices, but long, serpentine lines of them, running up the slope in deliberate formations. Jordan laughs and says, "Mata Shasta for you," like this is somehow a completely reasonable thing to find on a trail. And she's not entirely wrong. The mountain attracts this kind of thing. But there's a second reveal, buried in this clip, that makes the whole thing even funnier. Carrie Ann realizes mid-video that the disembodied voices she'd been hearing the night before, the ones that had her genuinely convinced she was picking up something supernatural, were coming from her own Bluetooth speaker, playing from inside her saddlebag. She'd been terrifying herself with her own phone. Still, that explanation only covers the voices. It doesn't cover the hundreds of devices, or whoever placed them there, or why. So Carrie Ann went back a third time, this time determined to figure out the source. Listen closely.
All right. Boys and girls, we are going back and we're going to get to the bottom of this. Inquiring minds want to know. Oh, shit.
Who are the representatives of God for our spiritual elevation. We humbly worship, praise, thank, obey, and love God Almighty, the Most High, the greatest, for world beacon, world peace, and our soul liberation. We thank, love, praise the only Son of God, who is the ultimate master.
She finds the original packaging in a cardboard box on the hillside, product boxes printed in Chinese, featuring lotus flower and dragonfly illustrations, and when she holds one of the speakers up, you can hear it broadcasting a Buddhist chant, Namo Amituofo, a traditional chant to Amitabha Buddha, repeating from the solar panel on the device. She eventually tracks the product down to an Etsy listing, Vajrayana Mahayana Prayer Mantra Chanting Box, solar powered, sold by a seller called Lama Noriha for around $51 each. Whoever planted them went to significant expense and effort spreading what appears to be hundreds of solar-powered prayer chanting boxes across a remote mountain trail in deliberate arrangements, left to broadcast Buddhist mantras and spiritual prayers into the open air around one of the most spiritually charged landscapes in North America. Some people in the comments found it beautiful, a kind of open-air devotional installation, broadcasting prayers for world peace at the foot of a sacred mountain. Others found it deeply unsettling, especially given how genuinely frightening the sound was at dusk. I'll let you decide which side of that you land on, but what nobody's been able to answer is who put them there, when, and whether they're planning to come back and add more. In this next clip, a man films himself indoors, speaking directly into his phone in Spanish, clearly shaken. He explains that the day before, he'd visited one of the lagoons of Chilca, a coastal area outside Lima, Peru, long associated with strange energy and unexplained occurrences, and that something happened there he couldn't explain. He's practically begging his viewers to help him figure out what he encountered. Then the footage cuts. Watch. The camera shifts to a nighttime outdoor scene, pointing down at a turquoise-painted wall covered in dark, smeared markings that resemble three-toed footprints or handprints. Then, at the very end, a large, dark hand with long, sharp claws suddenly grabs the corner of that wall from off-screen, textured, scaly, and unmistakably not human. Some viewers immediately called it a staged prop, pointing to the sound effect that drops right on cue. Others aren't so sure, because if you look at those markings on the wall before the hand appears, they were already there. So what exactly left them? Now in this next clip, someone is lying in bed in what looks like a motel room, filming from under the covers in a dimly lit space. And they've been awake for 3 days straight. That detail matters, because what they're about to capture puts everything in question. Watch. Standing beside the door appears to be a dark figure draped in what looks like a black cloth. What stands out most is the face, a pale. The figure doesn't appear to move. It simply remains there, watching from the corner of the room. At first, she assumes sleep deprivation is playing tricks on her mind. After 3 days without sleep, visual hallucinations are well documented and can become remarkably vivid, often involving shadowy figures or people standing in doorways. That alone would be a reasonable explanation. But then she reviews the recording. The figure appears to have been captured on camera as well. That detail is what convinced her she wasn't imagining it. Those who favor a paranormal explanation compare it to reports of shadow figures, particularly the subtype often described as cloaked or hooded apparitions. Dark, human-shaped forms with unusually pale or featureless faces that witnesses claim to encounter during the night. Whether the camera captured an ordinary object distorted by darkness, or whether her exhaustion simply caused her to notice something that had been there all along. The fact that the same figure appeared both to her eyes and through the camera lens is what continues to fuel the debate. Now, in this next clip, 2 men are filming outdoors at night along a dark dirt road somewhere in a Spanish-speaking country. The scene lit only by a single off-camera light casting a sickly greenish-yellow glow over the tree line. For a few seconds, everything is still, just shadows and shaky camera work, and a nervous exchange of words between them. Then something steps out of the foliage. Watch.
Ya fue, macho, vamos a acá.
Macho, mira, se está viniendo por acá. Está cruzando la calle, macho.
Se fue.
a small bipedal figure with a disproportionately large head hobbles across the dirt path from left to right, and the men immediately lose their composure, one shouting that it's crossing the street, heading toward them, before the camera jerks violently and cuts to black. What they're calling it in the audio is a duende, a term rooted in Spanish and Latin American folklore referring to a small goblin-like spirit, sometimes mischievous, sometimes deeply unsettling, said to appear near roads and wooded areas at night. You can hear the panic in their voices shift the moment the figure turns in their direction. Skeptics point to the poor video quality and suggest it could be a child or someone in costume, but that hobbling gait and oversized silhouette are genuinely difficult to explain away. What do you think was crossing that road? This next video was recorded by a man who says the strange activity in his home has been going on for a while. But on this particular night, things took a turn he wasn't quite ready for. It's 4:53 in the morning. He's downstairs alone, his family asleep upstairs, and he's got a cause light in his hand when the knocking starts coming from his basement door. Slow at first, one knock, then another, then a third, spaced out and deliberate, like something testing to see if he's listening. He points the camera at the door and pans the room briefly, showing the couch, the coffee table, the staircase with the baby gate at the top, and then comes back to the door. He says it himself. This isn't the first time he's heard it. Watch.
Alright, so that right there is my basement door, right? I'm downstairs by myself. It's like 4:53 in the morning, and I just started hearing that. I have no fucking idea what it is, but I'm down here by myself. Everybody's sleeping, just me. Ain't the first time I heard this shit either.
What makes this so unsettling isn't just the sound, it's the escalation. Those early knocks are almost calm, then they turn into a rapid, frantic drumming, the kind that doesn't sound like a pipe settling or an animal scratching, and then the bangs. 3 of them, each one louder than the last, hitting the door with a force that feels deliberate, almost impatient. He's not performing fear either. His expression is more confused than theatrical, like a man who genuinely doesn't know what to do next. Some people in the comments pointed to territorial behavior, the idea that whatever is making that sound is asserting itself, warning him rather than inviting him. Others suggested a more specific framework, comparing it to what some paranormal researchers call threshold phenomena, where entities are believed to be bound by certain boundaries and use sound to demand entry rather than simply passing through. Skeptics will point out a person hiding on the other side with nothing better to do at 5 a.m., but his tone, flat, tired, almost resigned doesn't read like someone in on the joke. The activity didn't stop there. The following night, or at least another night in the same house, he was sitting in that same room when the knocking started up again, this time from the wall beside the downstairs bathroom. He says he'd been hearing it regularly at that point, tapping on the bathroom door, sounds from the wall, the same pattern repeating itself. He started recording to see if anything else would happen. Watch.
Alright, so I was hearing that knocking again, right? Except this time it's coming from that wall right there, which is my downstairs bathroom. And after a while I started hearing tapping on the bathroom door as well. So what else? Record. See if anything else happens. I mean, I hear the shit every night. It's fuck. Okay, that's never happened before. Now I have to go check it out, otherwise you guys are gonna be like, oh, it's probably somebody in there. Let's go see. I'll show you guys right now. Ain't nobody in this motherfucker right here. And it is empty. Yeah, no, that one was weird. That's never actually happened before. That's new, at least.
When he posted the footage online, most people focused on what they claimed to hear at the very end, a faint hissing sound that many missed the first time until they replayed it with headphones. Clay didn't think much of it at first, until viewers started asking about where he lives. When he told them he's in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the reaction changed. People in the comments claimed the area has a history of old houses with dark pasts, and that South Milwaukee in particular has more than its share of hauntings. This place is tied to several local stories, but there's one in particular about a man who disappeared in the 1950s, last seen walking into a house on Clay Street. Now, if whatever is in that house just crossed from making noise to moving things, the question worth asking is, what comes after that?